Hi, I'm Martin Creighan, and I'm the Managing Director for AT&T Australia, New Zealand. Yeah, this is actually my third Vinnies CEO Sleepout. I missed last year, I was traveling, or it would have been my fourth. But every year I come back, I learn more about this growing epidemic and this growing concern that we have here in Australia with homelessness. And this is the reason why I do it. Last night we actually heard a lot of stories about domestic abuse victims and how that specific demographic is growing, and it's concerning. I also, through this process and this year, we've learned that 116,000 folks are sleeping rough on the streets every night. More than 350,000 are on the verge of homelessness, which is a scary statistic as well. And something that really hits home is we also saw last night one of the fastest growing demographics as well is women aged between 45, 55, and 55 and over, because of the fact that they're now being they're divorced, or their partners have died and they have no income and things of that nature, and that's a fastest growing, or one of the fastest growing demographics of homelessness. And I couldn't imagine my mother or my father or whomever on the streets at that age once they've worked their whole lives, etc. So when I start looking at it and thinking about domestic violence and how that demographic is growing for homelessness, or when I think about aged individuals, it's a scary statistic. And then finally, of course, teens between 12 and 18. That is one of the fastest growing, once again, demographics for homelessness. And I couldn't imagine my kids being on the street. And it's those stories that you hear, and the stories that were shared with us last night about how Vinnies helps these folks. They get them off the streets. They try to get them into the system. They try to get them educated. They try to get them back into a regular, normal life so that they can function just like the rest of us. Those are the stories that are quite inspiring. And if I can share one other thing is in the 3 out of 4 years that I've come back, you learn and see that it's not just the poor people, or it's just not the disadvantaged people that end up homeless. Anyone can end up homeless, and we heard a great example of that last night as well, where gentleman had his own business, was a sole trader, doing really well. Next thing you know, things just started going south for him, and he and his family ended up homeless. So it's a scary plight, and it's something that I would never want to face, and hence the reason why I come back here every year. I would say definitely do it. Is it cold? Yes. But you meet some great individuals. I think we had over 350 CEOs here last night. So you meet some great individuals, and more importantly, you really learn what's really happening out there on the streets, and you get to see it firsthand. You get to talk to people who have gone through homelessness, and probably people who are on the verge as well. So I would say it's a great initiative. The opportunity to give back, raise some money, and make sure that people don't have to sleep the way we slept last night. We had sleeping bags and pillows and jackets and pants, etc., and I was still cold. So I can only imagine what it would be like for someone who doesn't have all of those things and has to sleep rough every night. So if you have the opportunity to come, it's a great night. You meet great people. You get to understand what this growing problem is in this country, and it's a great opportunity to give back. Just want to say thank you to Vinnies. It's been a journey for me. As I mentioned, it's my third time back, and I plan on coming back again next year. But I want to say thank you to Vinnies. Thank you to all the volunteers at Vinnies. They go out of their way to accommodate us and make us feel as comfortable as possible on a night where we are going to sleep rough, and it is going to be tough. But more importantly, the effort that they put into helping our homeless get off the streets, get into a program, and get them some help. It is just priceless. So a huge thank you to Vinnies and the entire crew and all the volunteers that help on a day-to-day basis.